and welcome back to the Prism Podcast. My name is Sydney Lish, but you can call me Sid. After 5 years of mentoring thousands of people as a wellness entrepreneur, I figured it was time to create a one-stop shop for you to find all things business advice, health and wellness, success principles, creating legacy income, tangible tips, motivation, and more. The Prism Podcast captures a full spectrum of all the information you need to actualize your excellence. So let's go. Hello and welcome to the Prism Podcast official episode uno. I am so excited to have you here. I am your host, Sid Lish. You can call me Sid, you can call me Sydney. I really don't care. Most people, I introduce myself as Sid, they call me Sydney. I introduce myself as Sydney, they call me Sid. So whatever floats your boat. And today, for this first episode, I think it's really important to share my story, with all of you. I've recorded, 10 other episodes already, and I've been saving this one for last, even though it's going out first. But I'm really excited to share my story. It's just, a lot. For all of these episodes, something for you guys to know is I don't have notes. I don't have cue cards. I don't have a script. I literally turn on the recording and I just go. So I have no idea what's about to spill out of my mouth when I sit down, but that's usually how I work the best. So if I'm ever scatterbrained, that is why. But we're going to dive right in. So before I, came into this amazing company that I've been a part of for 5 years, this network marketing company that I absolutely love and adore, I really just want to rewind it and talk about before that, because there's a lot of content out there sharing my story of how I found the company and all of those things, but there's not a ton of information that I've ever put out about prior to college. And so I'm just going to break it down for you guys. So growing up, I grew up in a town called Billings, Montana, up by Canada. It's 5 hours from Canada, but it can get really cold in the winter and really hot in the summer. And I grew up there as an athlete. I have one sister who is just incredible. My parents were actually, divorced parents, but very amicable. They both remarried. They were amazing parents, all four of my parents. I really was blessed so much with my birth parents and then my step parents. But growing up, I was always a really competitive kid. I was a really sweet, kind-hearted kid. And I just don't really think any of that has changed much. I'm a very competitive person and I have a very soft heart. I really, up until this day, I got to work really hard to not get my feelings hurt because I just have a very soft heart. I was a kind kid. I was very loving. And, when my parents got divorced, I was 3 years old. I was very young. And I think that really affected me. And up until now, I've done a lot of work through that. But I'm so happy looking back, that my parents got divorced and did what made them happy because they're remarried to some of the most incredible people, like I said. But it really did affect me as a kid. And, me and my sister growing up, we really battled. She was always 2 years older than me and always a little bit ahead of me. And so I really had to compete to keep up with her. When she was, riding a bike without training wheels, even though I was 2.5 years younger, I wanted to ride a bike without training wheels. And I think that sibling rivalry that we grew all the way up until we were in high school, probably even in college now that I think about it, I think that really, created a lot of where my competitive spirit came into play. My mom was a hairdresser and she provided, just anything and everything we needed. Growing up, I'm super blessed for my mother. My father is one of the favorite people I have in my life. He is an absolutely incredible father. I couldn't have asked for a better male role model for myself. And, going into school, I did a lot of different things. I put my hands into a lot of different things. I started playing the piano and the violin at a very young age. I asked my parents if I could get a violin, and if I taught myself for 6 months, if I could get a teacher. They said yes, and I played, instruments for years and years and years. I still do quite a bit. I was a very artistic kid, a very creative kid. I loved, fashion and sketching out outfits and looking at magazines. I was that girl who had like every poster from Bop in her freaking place, like in her room. I was just a big dreamer. I was like always watching Disney, watching all the models and all the actresses and knowing at this like deep core level that there was something in me that just wanted and desired to create an impact in the world. And I didn't know what vehicle that was going to be through. I didn't know if it was going to be through music. I didn't know if, later on it was going to be through sports. I didn't know if it was going to be through being a, kid celebrity on Disney. I didn't know. I didn't know. But I just always had this really core feeling that I was a little different. And I think a lot of people have this, especially people in the entrepreneurial space who are visionaries. But I always had this like black sheep kind of mentality where like my family just didn't get me. I liked being alone a lot. I liked, being that like struggling artist in my room, like super emo dressing kid, but always like loved the newest fashion, was kind, played instruments, like such a weird kid. Also was in sports. I just thought it was weird all around, and I still am, let's be real. But as I got into high school, I started playing sports, and I had a really great coach that was an amazing mentor for me at that time. She always just believed in me, and I think that's one of the most important people in my life to this day. And she really pushed me. She really pushed me to be the best version of myself. I was a volleyball player. I played basketball. I did track. Again, I just had my hand in anything and everything. And, upon graduating high school, I went to college not knowing what degree I wanted to do. I think I started in nutrition, and then I changed it to like, I wanted to teach textiles in high school. And then I switched it to kinesiology and exercise science and got really into, wellness and understanding the body. But I changed my major so many times because I didn't feel like anything felt right. And I've always been really intuitive and really big on like gut intuition. And my gut feeling was just like, this is not right, but I got to do it. Like I got to do it. And I get to get a degree. I think this was really before the boom of technology and people making money online. And as I, was in college, I actually started to compete in bodybuilding. I was really into fitness. I was like running half marathons in Montana. I was, working at different restaurants. I was working the front desk of a gym for about a little less than a decade. And I loved working at the gym, and I really fell in love with fitness after my volleyball career ended. And I loved channeling my competitive nature into competing with myself. And so I started in bodybuilding very competitively. I didn't have a coach. I was a broke college student, you guys. I was going to school full time. I didn't have time for a job. And I remember about 2 years into bodybuilding, I was waking up at 4 a.m. It was absolutely insane. I was waking up at 4 a.m. in college. My dorm room member hated me, I swear. She was like, oh my God, this girl's crazy. I'd wake up at 4 a.m. I'd go do my cardio. I'd go to class. I'd go back to the gym at lunch. I would, work at the gym if I needed to. And then I would go to class more, and then I'd go back to the gym at night and I'd crash. And I was like even so crazy as to go into the college and be like, I need a meal plan that is not the meal plans you guys provide. I need chicken 5 times a day and broccoli 5 times a day. And I want to come in here and I want it to be ready when I get in here, and I'm on a schedule. I'm on a mission. And they did it for me. I was like on a strict ass regimen that I put myself on. I did the research. I looked up YouTube videos. I was so driven to just compete. I love competing, even if it's with myself. And I started bodybuilding. I did it for many years, but I competed in my first few shows as a college student, again, like I said. And at some point, I actually left the college I was going to go back home and go to the school that was much cheaper. That way I wouldn't have to pay room and board. It was like half of the, tuition as far as how much it was going to cost. And that way I could afford to compete in more bodybuilding shows. And so I figured, hey, if I move back First of all, I don't have to deal with all the crazy partiers here. Like, I didn't go out one time in my college education. I seriously didn't drink until I was 21. And I think I had one glass of red wine. I was so cookie cutter. It was really hard for me to make friends and relate to kids in that way. But truly looking back, I'm so grateful that I did it the way that I did it, because it taught me so many invaluable lessons. So went to college, finished up. I think at the same time that I was finishing up college, I completed my final competing bodybuilding competition. And it was where I was getting my pro card. And I got done at that event, and I remember so clearly I was starving. I felt like if someone hugged me, I was going to die. I had been training for years and years and years, eating too little, working out too much, obsessing over my body, creating this incredible physique, but an awful relationship with food. And I remember leaving that last show, I think it was my 6th or 7th show. And I remember thinking, it's so hard for me to give up this concept of me not being a bodybuilder anymore, but I can't keep doing this. I got off of stage and I remember no one was there. I didn't have one friend. I didn't have one family member there. I was there completely solo, and that broke my heart to get off of stage, because at this time I was posting online. I was posting fitness content. Like, I was posting YouTube videos. You guys can go back and see them. They're all public from 5 years ago. It's very cringeworthy, let me just tell you that. I was really like wanting to make fitness a career for myself, and I was willing to do what I had to do to make it work. But I remember coming out of that feeling so deflated, because I was like, it wasn't that no one was there. It was that I hadn't impacted anyone enough to want to be there. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a selfish sport. I am not doing anything but just focusing on my own body, my food, my whatever. I had to cut out so many relationships to compete here. And for what? Like a plastic trophy? No, thank you. And it clicked for me. And I was like, I'm never going to go on stage again. And I flew home alone. And around the same time, I was making fitness, like I said, into a career. And I started an online fitness coaching company. And at the same time, I was working at a gym. What I loved about the gym was I just met everyone. I love meeting people. I love connecting with people. I met everyone at the gym. Everyone knew me by heart. I was there day, night, evening, morning, all day, every day. I was at that gym just meeting people and learning and like beating on my craft. And so I started an online fitness company. And I had invested my savings into a fitness coach online, or it was a business coach that worked with fitness professionals. And he was one of the very first, I would say. And I remember joining that program, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about sales. I learned a lot about different techniques, and I made really good money the first month, guys. Like, I made really good money online, but I remember I got done with that and I was so exhausted. I was like, oh my God, why are all these things just exhausting me? First bodybuilding, I'm burnt out, and then I'm starting this business, and I don't know how I can keep this up, because I was working day after day, working online to get people started in my program to sell them on these massive packages, high ticket sales, if you guys are familiar. And I was doing that for about a month or two. At the same time, I was finishing up my degree. I was working 3 jobs, and I was so exhausted. I was working midnight. I was working tons, working out still really hard, trying to make the fitness thing work in some way, shape, or form. And this business that I had just started, and I really had no knowledge of what to do. And so I reached out to the guy who had started the program, and I was like, hey, it was towards the end of my time in Montana. And I was like, hey, I would really love to come work for you. And I think that I could be a really great asset. I've had some really awesome results in this fitness coaching, and I think I could be a really great asset to your team to train your salespeople. And I totally sold this guy on me and my skill when I really was like a month or 2 into my business. And I sold him on this skill of mine. And I said, hey, I'm buying it. I know you're out in LA. I'm buying a flight, out to San Diego. I'm going to move to California the day I graduate college, and I'm coming out there, so I'll be in the area. And so he basically brought me on. I was making more money than I ever thought was possible. I think I was making $1,000 a week. And with like no knowledge, I was totally just figuring it out as I went. But then what happened is I was kind of phasing out of my program a little bit of my business and working with him, doing both pretty full time. But at the time, I remember I was getting really verbally beat up. I was getting a lot of kickback and a lot of flack from people in my hometown, my roommates, literally to the point where they sat me down and they're like, I just remember how like awful it felt for 3 of my best friends at the time to be like, hey, we don't think what you're posting is appropriate. Basically, like, you're trying to be something you're not, you're trying to be this big shot, and like, we don't like it. We don't, basically we don't want to be your friend anymore unless you stop. And I remember in that moment, I've literally never shared this. I remember in that moment, it was like a gut punch of, I wanted to grow. And people were trying to hold me down. And I just remember feeling so like frustrated. And I was just like, I'm just trying to like get better myself and help other people. Like, I don't see what's wrong with that. I don't understand why you guys aren't willing to like watch me grow and thrive. And I remember it really getting to me to the point where I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit working out. I wanted to quit my fitness business. I wanted to quit my degree because it was in exercise science. I wanted to stop posting on social media. I wanted to give up this dream of having an online business. And I was going to go become a teacher because that's all my degree will really allow me. And I remember we moved out of that place soon after. And I had 2 weeks until I was about to graduate. I quit 4 jobs. I finished school, and I remember I had booked a flight to California, and I had about a week off where I was just kind of hanging out, working a lot, trying to build this business, still trying to make it work, working part-time for this dude in LA. And I was prospecting one day, and I come across this woman. And I just saw like this pink shirt she had on. I was drawn to her. And I reached out to her and I recruited her for my coaching program. And she gives me a call and we chat, and she signs up right away. She's like, hey, I'm about to relaunch my business. I really want someone to hold me accountable to get in the best shape of my life. And I was like, great, let's do it. And little did I know, she actually lived in San Diego. So the day I graduated college and had all my jobs finished up, I flew out to San Diego. And I had, you guys, no money, no job, nowhere to live. But before I had left, this woman had called me and she's like, Sid, I see you burnt out. I see you exhausted. Have a conversation with me. And she introduced me to this world of network marketing. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was so tired and so burnt out and so deflated. I was just trying to make ends meet. I was literally trying to survive. And I remember, there were even times where I stole apples from my mom's house because I didn't have any food and I didn't have any money. I would donate my plasma every week for $50 to pay for my groceries, you guys. Like, it was real. And like I said, right before I had left for California, this woman introduces me to network marketing, and she asked me a question. She asked me what my ideal life looked like, and I didn't know. And I had a really hard time imagining it. And then she said, here's the deal. I see you doing this coaching thing. Would you rather be doing this coaching thing in 5 years, or would you rather build something that pays you over and over and over again so that in 5 years you can be sitting drinking a margarita in Hawaii with me? And I said, I would love the margarita in Hawaii because I am so tired I can't even keep my eyes open for this conversation. And she introduced me. She introduced me to her mentor. She introduced me to this opportunity. And you guys, I flew out to California and this woman took me in. I remember I got the worst flight because I could only afford a $100 flight. I had spent my last dollars into the company that I was going to be partnering with, even though it was just a couple $100. I invested my last pennies and left myself with about $50 to my name one suitcase full of my products, one suitcase full of my clothes. I flew across the country. I had a 9-hour layover in Seattle overnight from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. It was the most miserable night of my life. I landed at 6 a.m. in San Diego, and I met up with this woman, and she took me in, you guys, and I slept on her couch, in her bed. I slept at her house, and we ended up becoming roommates for 3 years after that. And she introduced me to now who are my really close, and I love them so much, my mentors, Zach and Eden, who I'm hoping to have them on the podcast. And they really, I mean, between them and this woman, they really just like parented me. They parented me as I came into this world of network marketing. And they brought me to my first event. They actually dragged me there. I was like, I don't have money, you guys. I just spent however many hundreds of dollars on these products that I haven't even tried. I just moved to California. I have no money right now. I can't do this. And they said, we'll help you get there, and you show up, you get your ticket, and we'll see you there. And they supported me in getting there. I mean, they really, really helped me. But I remember shopping for that first event, and I had no clothes. And Eden let me borrow a couple of her dresses that had been handed down by Lori Harder herself to Eden to me. And I got to wear these clothes of these millionaire women. And I needed shoes because all I had were a pair of Converse and a pair of flip-flops. And this was a business event. And I went to the store with the woman who had gotten me started in network marketing. And all I could afford was a $19.95 pair of high heels. And you guys, they made my feet bleed. It was so painful. I have a picture of myself in the hallway sitting down, working in the hallway at the event with the dress on and the shoes. I can post it or link it. It's very fascinating. But I went to that first event, and I went from, I don't know what my ideal life looks like. I don't even know if this network marketing thing is for me. Like, I don't even really know why the frick I'm here right now. I really didn't know. And I remember sitting in the audience, and the youngest millionaire and the oldest millionaire in the company come out on stage, and they open the room. And I don't remember what they said. I don't remember what any of the context was of most of that event. But I remember leaning over to Zach and Eden in that moment and saying, I was 22 years old at this time, you guys. I just turned 22. I was 2 months into being 22. And I leaned over and I said, I'm going to be one of the youngest millionaires in this company. And they said, great, we'll show you the path and you get to work. And I got home, I remember, from that event, and I've literally, in the last 5 years, I've just been on fire. I've loved every second. I've hated a lot of the seconds, but at the end of the day, in my core, I love every second of what I do. And, you know, from going from this girl who's like total amateur hour at this event to, I remember seeing the top start leaders on stage. I was like, I'm going to be up there next year. Like, I'm going to do this. And within, a year or two, I was up on the stage. I was getting the opportunities to speak it and share my story at events. I was getting asked to be on team calls, but I was really just loving my work. I just became a student. I woke up every day at 4 a.m. and I would listen to podcasts. I would listen to audiobooks. I'd read GoPro. I'd read Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. I would go run. I would work on my body. I would put the products in my body. I lost 45 pounds on these products after rebounding from bodybuilding. Like, this company changed my entire life. And, in the last 5 years, just to make a very long story, or a very short story, very long, long story, very short, I, have traveled all over the world. I have traveled all over the country. I've spoken on stages in front of 15,000 people on behalf of this company. I live in one of the most amazing buildings I could have ever possibly imagined, with the most amazing circle and sphere of friends that I would have never guessed. But for me, this is like this company is my home, and finding network marketing was like the thing I was looking for, and all of these other things, like working for that other guy and becoming a teacher and starting an online fitness program and working on YouTube and doing all those things. It really was to find my family and to find my calling. And this company really became that for me. And I'm so grateful for everything that I have. And I look back like 5 years ago. I'm so emotional. I'm like choking back tears this whole episode. I look back 5 years ago and I'm like, man, if that young 21-year-old would have seen you, like she would be so proud of you. And I just remind myself of that every day, because every single day I try and make decisions for my future self, to make sure that like my past self will always be proud when it can, look forward and see the future self. So that's always where I make decisions from. But regardless, you guys, I know this is a very long episode, but I felt like a lot of that information was really necessary to talk about and get out there, because so many people don't know my full story. So many people are new to the company. So many people are new to this podcast. You don't even know who this girl is. You're like, who is this girl? But yeah, that's my story. I'm so grateful. And I'm a part of network marketing. I'm always going to be a part of network marketing. I'm only 5 years in, and I feel like I'm just getting started. I'm 26 years old, and I just cannot wait to see what the next 5 years brings. This podcast is something I'm extremely excited for. And I just know over the next 15, 20, 50 years, I am so committed to just impacting as many lives as possible, especially through network marketing, hopefully through this podcast. Who knows where technology is going to take us, and just so beyond even all of that. I could just see the vision. I see the future, and I'm so excited for what's to come for me, but also so excited to see what comes for my community and for our team and our organization and all of you. Just, I want to leave you with this, like, continue to keep your vision in front of you. Like, I don't care how crazy it is. I don't care who bashes it. Keep your vision in front of you and always let that be your guide. And for me, that's all I'm continuing to do, is just to expand the vision a little bit and just continue to expand the vision and keep my eye on the vision and never give up. So I'm really excited for those of you who could get all the way to the end of this episode. These episodes won't be this long. I think this is going to be the longest one. But I am really excited to have you here. I hope this story resonated with even one of you. And if it did, please, leave a rating, leave a review. Let me know what you thought. I can't wait to have you back next week. And I will see you soon. Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Prism podcast episode this week. It means so much that you got to the end of this episode. I want to acknowledge you for tuning in to grow yourself every single week. So if you loved this episode, leave a rating and a review. Please subscribe so that I know that you're loving this content, and I will see you next week. Welcome back to the